Hi, this is Derek. Okay, quick review today. I wanted to talk about the new Netflix series, Fuller House, which of course is sort of a sequel reboot of Full House, the beloved 80s and 90s family friendly sitcom, which is a show I'm a big fan of. I love the show. I have my beloved Full House DVD collection here, which is my favorite. And the thing is, anybody will tell you this isn't like a profound kind of show, isn't like a hard-hitting kind of show, but it's just kind of fluff. It's nice, and sometimes there's room for that. Like, I remember the last time I watched Full House, I did a big marathon of it. It was about 2 years ago, because my cat, my poor cat Vito, he had died, and I was very sad. And I'm like, I want to watch something that's just gonna make me feel good, be happy, things like that. So I decided to watch Full House, and it did make me feel better. It brought a little warmth. So it's that kind of a show. It's like comfort food, basically, which, you know, in bringing the show back and doing kind of a sequel to it, there's a big challenge. And how much do we want to keep it the same, knowing that that kind of stuff is a little passe, it's a little out of date, it's a little cheesy, and how much do we want to make it kind of like a modern type of show? Like, do we want to compete with like Modern Family or anything like that? And that's kind of what a lot of like the reviews that have been up have been saying, like, oh, it's no match for, Modern Family or The Middle or whatever the fuck else. So I think that's kind of an unfair criticism, and a lot of them kind of saying, "Well, it's relying too much on nostalgia." Which, the only reason I'm watching it is nostalgia, sure, because I love the show so much. But at the same time, it's not necessarily that I just want to see the same old stuff over again. I felt like I grew up with DJ, Stephanie, and the other one, the neighbor Kimmy. And Michelle, obviously. I want to see where they are right now. I think that's kind of a cool idea, and I think that's why I like this show as much as I do. Um, so definitely the very first episode, it is nostalgia crazy. It's in joke crazy. They're like, oh, you can almost hear violins. It's such a sweet moment, and a lot of in jokes and shit like that. Oh, where's Michelle? She's busy running her clothing empire in New York. They literally just stop and stare at the camera, and like literally every time a character would enter the room, the applause would go like, yeah, and stuff like that. And that was great to see. That definitely was the nostalgia kind of hook to it. And I love seeing all the characters back. Danny, Joey, Uncle Jesse, Rebecca, Steve the neighbor, even the twins were back, Nikki and Alex. That was great. And they all look pretty good for their age. Definitely, Joey, he mentions he's in his 50s and he's still wearing, cartoon pajamas. And Bob Saget kind of looks like a turtle a little bit. He's always like squinting, like, hi kids, or whatever. And Uncle Jesse, he just looks as sexy as he did back in the 80s. Did I say that or just think that? Lori Loughlin looks great. She looks great. She's taking young pills or something. So that was great, but that's really just the first episode. And I think anybody who's making accusations like, oh, this is just ripping on another nostalgia trip and, you blah, 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 whatever. I think that's stupid. I think those types of people just watched that first episode and went straight to, like, doing a review. Like, I don't really care what, Smithy Colvington or whatever the fuck from the Boston Globe has to say about Fuller House, because it is kind of more of a fan thing. It is kind of critic proof. It is something that is cheesy, but I'll say for this new show, this Fuller House, which centers mainly on DJ. DJ Fuller is her last name. She's widowed, and that's her married name. So it's both a play on Full House, Fuller House, but also they're the Fuller family. It's the Fuller House. She needs help raising her family, so her sister Stephanie comes from being kind of this out of control party girl DJ, and her DJ name is DJ Tanner, so it's like, haha, stupid. And Kimmy Gibbler, the wacky girl from next door, she helps too. So it's basically the exact same premise as the original Full House, and they have all the wacky cute kids. There's the oldest Jackson, there's the middle child Max, and there's the baby Jake, and they all have to help raise him and stuff like that. So I think once we get past that first episode, maybe the first couple of episodes, we stop clinging to the nostalgia, and we start to realize that this is a good show on its own merits. These are good characters on their own merits. I want to see what these characters are doing, because there are new elements to it. Like, we get Kimmy Gibbler's daughter, who is half Latina. She's Ramona, and her father is Fernando. He's a great character. He's very over the top and funny, and he's always showing up. And there's kind of like a thing about will they, won't they get back together or whatever stuff like that, and that's kind of good. And there's Steve pops by every now and again. He still pines for DJ. He still is clinging to his first love and things like that. And Stephanie has really big boobs, and there's just a lot more kind of, instead of nostalgia, let's say, it does try to keep up with like modern jokes. Like every joke, there's like a social media joke about like whatever. Oh, I'll send you an emoji, or let me go on YouTube and film this or whatever. Like there's even the kid like name drops Game of Thrones, which I thought was funny. I don't know what Game of Thrones is, but I can't watch it or whatever. And they have a dog and it's all cutesy. But at the same time, I do think it's a little bit edgier than the original show was. Like there are there's a lot of innuendo on this show, which I love. I think, one thing we can kind of take for granted when it comes to these types of family-friendly shows is that there is a challenge. There is a challenge in the writing of these types of shows, in staying within a certain confine, but still seeing how much they can get away with, which I think they do. And I think it does have some mature aspects, because of course we have the plot lines that focus on the adult characters, with the plot lines that focus on the kids, so just much like the original show. So at least here we don't have like the breakout star kid like the Olsen twins, who kind of hijacked the whole fucking show. And I'll argue that the last 2 seasons of Full House were the worst seasons because of the Olsen twin phenomena. So I think it's back to a certain type of route with making this whole family dynamic. And of course the guest stars come in and out. Grandpa Danny Tanner will visit, and Uncle Jesse will visit. I thought there was a really great episode where Lori Loughlin is guest starring for the majority of the episode, where DJ has just gone on a date with a coworker. She's a veterinarian, and there's a new guy working there, and she goes on a date with him, and Kimmy and her estranged husband, and Stephanie and all the guys she dated. Someone sends them a whole bunch of flowers. Someone sends a whole bunch of flowers in the house, but there's no card, so it's a whole mystery. And like Aunt Becky, who's kind of bored in her own life, she's like, I'm gonna help solve this or whatever. And what's kind of funny about that, if you know Lori Loughlin, there's this movie. There's I think it's called The Love Letter, or no, Secret Admirer. She stars in a movie called Secret Admirer, where literally that's almost what it's all about. Someone sends a secret admirer letter that's, I love you so much, but it's like, who's it to? And who's it from? And so it's all about trying to figure that out. So I thought it was kind of like a sort of weird esoteric in-joke. So it's all about trying to figure that out. And I, just at the very last minute, I guessed the ending, and I was like, fuck yeah. So that's cool. And it's fun stuff like that. And yes, there is innuendo here and there. One funny thing I thought was in the very first episode, again, Aunt Becky, Uncle Jesse are there, and she sees the baby. She's like, oh, I want to have more babies, Jesse. And he's like, Becky, that ship has sailed. And in fact, that ship has sank. All seamen lost. So a vasectomy joke there on Fuller House. So there's that. And guest stars come in and out. But I think it's really good. I think there is a good dynamic to the family. I think the kids are all right, too. Jackson is pretty cool, but then I really kind of just crumbled into a fit of depression when I realized he uses the same brand of axe that I do. I'm like, yeah, this 9-year-old uses the same axe I do. Anyway, Max, he's a little over the top. They might want to play him out or kill him off in the next season. But then again, when you think back to Stephanie in the first season of Full House, she was like that too. So there's always kind of that age where you're like, well, you're not toddler cute and you're not older kid, so you got to compensate and be super overly cutesy, which he kind of is. I think definitely kind of the standout character is Ramona. Actually, she's really good, and she's kind of the wild card. Like it's an element that wasn't in the original series. Like we didn't have a family separate to the 3 kids and a kid separate to the 3 kids kind of intermingle. So I think that helps it quite a bit, makes it different. There's all that stuff like there's ongoing plot lines. And, the Jackson kid has a crush on one of the girls in Ramona's class, and will they or won't they with Kimmy and Fernando and DJ and Steve pining for her and her coworker and all that stuff. And I think it's good. I think it's, literally it's everything I could have hoped it could have been, plus more. I think it's a fantastic show, and really what it amounts to, I think it's pretty much, I'd say, like any of those like Disney Channel shows you'd see, that you might catch here and there and think, oh, this is tolerable. So it's kind of like that, except better. Not as good as the original Full House, but it is cool to see you. I mean, there's so many people just like me who grew up with the Tanner family, and where are they now? And I have weird feelings about Stephanie. So there's that. So that's my review of Fuller House. Check it out. If you're curious, give it a few watches. If you strictly just want to see it for nostalgia value, then just watch that first episode. That's the reunion special. If that's all you wanted, you got it right there. And that alone is pretty incredible. So yeah. If you like this review of Fuller House, be sure to give me a thumbs up. That'd be great. Comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Visit Derek237.com. And until next time, I'll see you later.